The Diathesis-Stress model offers a combined explanation for how schizophrenia begins and develops. Unlike single-factor theories, this approach argues that the disorder arises when biological vulnerability, the diathesis, interacts with environmental or psychological pressures, the stress. In other words, people may carry a predisposition for schizophrenia, but symptoms only emerge, or become worse, when significant stressors occur in their lives. This helps explain why not everyone with a genetic risk actually develops the condition. According to the model, individuals differ in how vulnerable they are. Family and twin research shows that the closer the genetic link to someone with schizophrenia, the higher the likelihood of developing it. For instance, identical twins are more alike in their risk than siblings or fraternal twins, and adopted relatives do not share the same elevated risk as biological relatives. Yet even among identical twins, only around half are concordant for the disorder. This gap makes it clear that genes alone cannot determine the outcome. Environment also plays a major role. Stress can come from many sources. Traumatic experiences in childhood, for example, have been strongly linked with later development of schizophrenia. Research has shown that severe trauma before the age of 16 greatly increases the likelihood of developing the disorder, with higher levels of trauma corresponding to higher levels of risk. Social factors also contribute. Living in highly urbanized, densely populated environments has been associated with elevated rates of psychotic disorders. A large meta-analysis found that people in the most urban areas were more than twice as likely to develop schizophrenia compared to those in rural areas. The reasons are unclear, but chronic stressors such as social adversity, crowding, or deprivation may play a part. Still, only a small minority of urban residents develop the disorder, suggesting that environmental stress only has an effect when a vulnerability already exists. The model highlights that both influences, diathesis and stress, combine in an additive way. Someone with high vulnerability may experience symptom onset after only mild stress, while someone with lower vulnerability may only show symptoms after facing major life pressures. The specific combination varies between individuals, but the principle remains the same: the interaction between predisposition and stress determines whether schizophrenia develops. Key study, Tiernari et al., 2004. Tiernari and colleagues directly tested this interaction in a large adoption study. They identified mothers diagnosed with schizophrenia or related psychoses and located their biological children who had been adopted into new families. This high-risk group was compared with a matched group of adoptees whose biological mothers had no psychiatric history. Over a follow-up period lasting more than 2 decades, psychiatrists, who were unaware of the adoptees' genetic backgrounds, assessed each adoptive family using a rating scale that measured levels of conflict, empathy, and security. 14 adoptees developed schizophrenia during the study. 11 belonged to the high-risk group, while only 3 came from the low-risk group. Crucially, genetics alone did not determine outcomes. High-risk adoptees raised in healthy, low-stress families were far less likely to develop the disorder than high-risk adoptees raised in families rated as dysfunctional. In contrast, the family environment had little impact on the low-risk group. This provided strong support for the Diathesis-Stress model. A genetic predisposition only led to schizophrenia when combined with significant environmental stress within the adoptive home.